Hi everyone, I am here with a review from our lesson this week, and this was a very exciting lesson because we received music to play in our first concert in January. Now, the point of this concert is to demonstrate to the audience all of the things that we have learned so far this year. So we're going to play things from way back from our first lesson all the way to the things that we're working on now. And so every student should have gone home with a two-sided piece of music, piece of paper. I have it up here on the screen as well, and I also emailed it to parents. So if you don't have that, you can check your email, and it should be in there. Most of this comes right out of the book. I've just copy and pasted it onto one sheet of paper so you don't have to be flipping. And the nice thing is that for the most part, we have gone over almost all of this in lessons. So a lot of this is a review. Taking a look here at the first thing, we're going to play tunes using open strings. So no fingers required. This is number 5, 6, and 7, and we spent a lot of time on this in the first couple of lessons. So this should be probably pretty easy for most students at this point. If you need a review, you can go back and watch the review video from back at the beginning of the year. But I would just encourage students to go through and play these, but I can't imagine that they're super challenging for most students at this point. Then moving on to tunes using one finger and open strings. Things get a little more challenging here because now we're adding fingers onto the strings. So we have the G and D tune where we have 3 fingers down and open D, the F sharp and D tune for 2 fingers and open D, and then E and D tune, 1 finger and open D. And again, we spent several weeks on these back in October. And I know a lot of students were really, really solid with these then. But again, just go back, take a look at them, make sure you can play through them now as well. In fact, it's always neat because many students will say, this used to be so hard, and now it's really easy. And I think that's an awesome thing to recognize. All of their hard work is paying off. Now we get to something that we've sort of done, but is also new to some students. It's number 22, hop around on D. This was an assignment from one week, but we didn't spend a lot of time on it. So I would like to spend a little bit more time now looking at this and playing through it together. This is one that you might need to spend a little bit of extra time on this week. So hop around on D. Let's take it one bit at a time. So we're going to start by looking at the first 2 measures. Okay, and the first 2 measures, there's only 3 different notes we'll need to play. Let's read them together. D, E, D, E, A, A, A. And you might be thinking to yourself, this is super easy because there's only one note where I need to put a finger down. The rest are open strings. And you're absolutely right. D and A are open strings. The only note that you have to put a finger down for is E, and that's 1 finger. So this is what the first 2 measures will sound like. You can play it with me if you have your violin. D, E, D, E, A, A. Okay. Hardest thing about that is switching over to the A string with your bow and not hitting other strings. That's the most challenging part about that. Next 2 measures look really similar to the first 2 measures, which makes things a little bit easier for us. It's good in music to recognize patterns, and this certainly is a pattern. So we have D, F sharp, D, F sharp, A, A, A. So you'll notice that these 2 measures are basically the same as these 2 measures. It's just you've swapped out the E for an F sharp. So let's play the second set of 2 measures. So measure 3 and 4. Sounds like this. D, F sharp, D, F sharp, A, A, A. And of course, as you're playing, make sure you have a beautiful bow hold. Make sure your fingers are going on the tapes, that you're not just throwing them down somewhere randomly, but that you're putting them exactly where they need to go. Okay, let's combine everything we've done so far. So measure 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and there's also some bowing directions in here. If you're feeling really comfortable with the notes, try to add in those retakes as well. So here's from the beginning. D, E, D, E, retake. D, F sharp, D, F sharp, A, A, A. Excellent. Now we break the pattern to do something different, but you'll see that actually the next 3 measures are a pattern themselves as well. So starting here, we have D, G, G, G. And we haven't seen that note in this tune yet. G, of course, is 3 fingers on the D string. D, F sharp, F sharp, F sharp. D, E, 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 D. And you're probably recognizing the pattern in this already, which is you play D and then you put 3 fingers down, you play D and then you put 2 fingers down, you play D and then you put 1 finger down, and then finally a D. So it's kind of going backwards, 3, 2, 1. This is what those last 4 measures sound like. D, G, 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 D, F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, D, E, E, D. And make sure when you take those fingers off to play the open D that you're not opening your hand like this. It's going to make it a lot harder to find those next notes. Keep those fingers hovered over the string. Okay, so let's hear the whole hop around on D, number 22, all together. I'll play it. Feel free to play along with me. Here it is from start to finish. Retake. Retake. Great, so that's number 22, hop around on D. Again, take some extra time this week to work on it. This is where we start to have the notes being scrambled up, so it makes it a little bit more challenging, but it will make your note reading skills even better if you can play through this. The next new thing we have is the D major scale, and this is something that is not from the book. They didn't have it written in the book, so I just wrote it out here. This is something that most students end up memorizing, just playing it without even having to look. A scale basically means that you start on one note, in this case we're starting on D, and you keep going up stepwise until you get to the same note again. So we're going all the way to something called high D, which was a new thing we learned this week. And if we go through, now these notes look different. These are called half notes. They're 2-beat notes. It basically means that we're going to be using our full bow, making the notes a little bit longer than what we've been doing so far. But if we go through and read these notes, we'll see that we know almost all of them. So D, E, 1 finger on the D string. F sharp, which is 2 fingers on the D string. G, 3 fingers. Over to the A string. B, which is 1 finger on the A string. That was the new note from last week. Okay, now this note is new, but you can kind of catch on to the pattern that we're just adding fingers each time. So this note right here is 2 fingers on the A string. That is called C sharp. And then this is going to be, this note right here is 3 fingers on the A string called D. That's the high D. Okay, so the 2 new notes are C sharp, which lives in this 3rd space, and D, high D, which lives on this top, or not this top, excuse me, the 4th line. Okay, that one is 3 fingers on the A string. Okay, and if you notice while I was telling you the note names and the finger numbers, you basically start on open D and just keep adding fingers. You're going up stepwise. I always say that it's like walking up a set of stairs. You just keep going up, up, up till you get all the way to the top. So I'm going to play this first part going all the way up. This is what it should sound like. D, E, F sharp, G, A, E, C sharp, D. Okay. You might recognize that as a scale that maybe you sing in chorus, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? It's the same thing. It sounds like that. You kind of have it in your ear already about how it should sound. So that's the scale going up. Then we go back down. Okay, and when we go back down, we don't repeat the top D. We just start going right back down. So we'll have 3 fingers down. We'll go to 2, 1, open, cross over to 3. That's the hardest part. 3, 2, 1, open. And like I said, most students end up memorizing this D major scale. We actually will learn 2 more scales in the next couple of weeks, which are very similar. And generally for scales, you just kind of know how they go. You don't need to look at the music, but it's here for students who need it. Let me play the D major scale all the way up and all the way down. This is what it should sound like. Back down. Okay, so that's the D major scale. As you're playing that, practice using nice full bows to get a really good tone on your instrument. And the last thing on this piece of paper is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. We spent a lot of time last week working on this tune, and that's something that I think a lot of students still could benefit from some extra practice on this week. That one normally is a 2-week tune. It takes a little bit of extra time to learn because there's some new things in it that we haven't learned yet. So Twinkle is another one to focus on this week. So that is most of our concert music. The one other thing we're playing is the Peru Blue Boogie. So this week, take some time to go through everything. Some things are review. You might just be able to play through them and be done with it. Some things are new, and you might need to take it piece by piece and practice it that way. And the goal is to be able to play through everything at a consistent, steady tempo without having to stop and look at things, stop and think about things. Because in the concert, the idea is that we're all playing together at the same time. Okay, so make sure you're really confident and really comfortable with these tunes. So happy practicing, and I will see you next week at our lesson.